Let me just say, anybody who was expecting me to be wearing a pair of roller skates on the intro to this video is sorely mistaken, as the first thing that I would have done is fall over. Hello everyone, welcome to the Ronny Review, the series where I get to replay and reassess games from my favourite gaming era. I'm Brian, also known as UK Jane Zoidberg, and I really wish I hadn't sold my A1200 back in the mid-90s. The Amiga was, and probably always will be, the #1 gaming system of my lifetime, and that's why I really enjoy making these videos. Are my feelings about the Commodore system fueled entirely by nostalgia though, or do my opinions stand up all these years later? That's what we're here to find out. Perhaps more importantly though, have I taught you, the viewer, something that you didn't already know about gaming history? We're once again revisiting the list of the games that I previously reviewed when I was a writer for Games X and Amiga Action, and the game that we're going to be discussing is Rolling Ronnie, the Errand Boy, which came from Starbyte software in 1991 and was published in the UK by Virgin Games. As well as being hugely popular right here in the UK, the other market where the Amiga found major success was Germany. Across its entire lifetime, over half the number of Amigas sold worldwide were in these two territories. Little surprise then that Germany was home to a number of top software publishers and developers. Rainbow Arts, Thalion and Factor 5 are probably the most well known, thanks to games like Great Guyana Sisters, No Second Prize and Turrican. There was one other company though, and that's Starbyte software. I first became aware of Starbyte software when Ocean published their tennis game Tiebreak in 1990, retitled Adidas Championship Tiebreak in the UK. This was a game that stood out thanks to its innovative control system, and it received strong reviews. Prior to that, they had made their name in their native Germany with the strategy game Rings of Medusa and the dungeon crawl RPG Lords of Doom. Sadly, it was common for games developed by Starbyte software to remain in the German language. Starbyte Super Soccer, which I reviewed on the Atari ST in 1991 for Games X, is available to download today through the My Abandonware website on the Amiga. Unfortunately, it's pretty much unplayable unless you are fluent in German. The same is true of their simulation games like Hollywood Pictures and Invest. Fortunately, translation issues don't affect games with more of an arcade leaning. Clownomania came out in 1989 and was a fast and playable isometric Pac-Man variant, and Leonardo, which came out the same year, was a fun but flawed puzzle game. Graphics in both games were the work of Orlando Peterman, credited simply as Orlando, who had previously also provided the graphics for the Amiga versions of Garrison and Insanity Fight. And this leads us neatly onto the subject of this week's video. Rolling Ronnie, the Errand Boy sat neatly into the category of platform games where the player was required to do more than simply get from A to B. Like Bart vs the Space Mutants, released the same year, you found yourself having to perform tasks and deliveries while also avoiding all the enemies and traps as you made your way across the levels. Unfortunately, when it was released in the UK, it failed to make much of an impact in the sales charts. Rolling Ronnie was published in the UK by Virgin Games, but in Germany, like most other Starbyte games, it had been published by Starbyte themselves. Their next two games were also self-published and came out in 1993, and are probably their two most well-known titles, Fly Harder and Traps and Treasures. Neither of these games would come to the UK for over 12 months though, when they eventually signed a publishing deal with Soccer Kid makers Chrysalis. Fly Harder was an excellent physics-based shooter based partly on the 8-bit classic Thrust, and it was even released directly at a budget price. The sub £10 asking price and tight, challenging gameplay led to some extremely positive reviews. If you're put off by difficulty in gaming, then Fly Harder, with its changing gravity and aggressive respawning enemies, may not be for you. Maybe you should try something easier, like Dark Souls, instead. The pirate-themed platform game Traps and Treasures was also well received by critics, who praised its level design, varied gameplay and colourful graphics, once again provided by Orlando. In some early previews, it had even been referred to as a sequel to Rolling Ronnie, although there is actually very little similarity between the two games. In sales terms, it probably suffered from platform game fatigue, which is a shame as it really does deserve to be played by more people, and sadly the sequel never got beyond the planning stage. Now though, let's get back to talking about Rolling Ronnie and check out my original review. Rolling Ronnie graced the cover of Games X issue 16 from August 1991, The summer is traditionally a very slow time for games releases, yet there were still quite a few other Amiga games reviewed in the same issue, including Armalite, Blade Warrior and International Championship Athletics. My 2-page review provided plenty of space to show off the game's colourful presentation. This was the part of the game that I was most immediately impressed by, with some excellent sprites and vibrant backgrounds. I stated that the overall presentation of the game made it seem like a playable version of a Looney Tunes short. I was also pleased to report that thanks to responsive controls, it was a game that was easy to pick up and play for young and old alike. I also claimed that this was probably the closest that we would ever get to a Mario Brothers game on the Amiga. Not for a while have I seen a game genuinely this addictive. The challenge is enormous and certainly won't be beaten in a hurry, even with the continue option. It was awarded our X-rated Game of the Week with a score of 5 X's out of 5. Both gameplay and presentation earned a very impressive 18 out of 20, with last ability going one better at 19 out of 20. Here's how my score compares to the ones that appeared in other Amiga magazines at the time. As you can see, the average score was 74.5%. Now let's check out the game itself. Will I be equally as impressed today, or did I go overboard in my original assessment? It's time for the playtest. Now, one of the things that you'll notice on the title screen for this one is that it does have a nice how to play option. It's down here where you'll get this screen full of information. Pretty much tells you everything that the game thinks that you need to know. So here we go. Here is Ronnie on his roller skates. And so off you go, and you have to collect these little jewel boxes. Avoid the enemies better than I did there. If you are playing this on the A500 Mini, then the first thing that you're going to want to do is program in controls for the F keys. As you can see in the bottom right hand corner, F1 to F4 are what you will need to use your special pickups that you get. But you will instantly notice that how bright and colourful and well laid out the graphics are. To somebody who had only recently come over to the Amiga at the time this game came out, like myself, from the Atari ST, the sheer number of colours that this game had on screen was something that instantly drew the eye to it. So here you go, here's the first parcel that I found on the street. So I'll take it and I need to deliver it to the number 13. The parcel does take up one of the spaces in your inventory below, so I'll use one of the horns. The horns are actually an invincibility for a short time. And that's the door to number 13. Oh, thank you very much for my parcel. As you can see, these platforms above me are just a little bit too far out of reach, so what I have in F1 at the moment here is a higher jump ability. It's the super jump, which only cost me 3p to buy, so I think I'll buy one of those. Okay, I need another ultimate jump to get over that. That's pretty much the only thing that the game does to reveal the fact that you're on roller skates. There's little bits of ground like that you can't skate across. Ronnie, I've got a job for you. I will pay you 40p for delivering this packet of fruit to number 64 Spencer Street. I'm going to have a little bargain. Okay, I'll get 4p extra. I'm not going to push my luck, I'm not going to bargain any more than that. There are just occasional moments where it's not entirely obvious what you can stand on and what you can't. Not enough to spoil the game though, thankfully. A magnet will pick up everything that's currently on screen. Oh, there's the door to number 64. Really is a shame that you can't grind these rails. But as you can see, that jewellery box above my head there is out of reach, so if I press F4, I will pick it up. For some reason, pieces of cheese make all the enemies stop. I've got no idea why that is. And there's the bus stop to reach the end of the first level. For some reason, I was required to take the bus to a sewer. Oh, but there are still people in the sewers who are wanting to take parcels for them. I must say that the collision detection on picking up these jewellery boxes is not as good as you would hope. Make sure that all those 3 jewellery boxes are on screen and I'll collect them. There we go. That's the policeman I have to deliver to, yes. Well done. So I have to actually go back to the left to deliver this one. Yep, that's the policeman there. I have 124 pence. Can't imagine anybody being happy to work for 40p a delivery these days. To the bus stop, so I must nearly be there. Okay, I have to go up the ladder. Takes the bus to Shakespeare Park. £20. I'm definitely going to try and bargain for that one. I mean, I know inflation and all that, but I can't imagine anybody would have been happy with taking 20 pence for a delivery even back in 1991. Even if you only actually get 1 life on this game, so that energy bar when it's gone will mean game over. Oh dear, ran out of health, game over. Fortunately, it does have a continue game option, so I can just start from the level that I got up to. There are so many games like this from back in the early 90s where the music that was playing in the background would have been incredibly irritating, so the developers of this one should get bonus marks for at least not falling into that trap. Thankfully the controls are also really responsive on this, so you can easily time your jumps for getting past things. It's game over again! Ah. Well, there we go. Let's end the playtest there, I think. Still a really nice looking game, I think you'll definitely agree. But let's sum up the rest of my feelings about it now in the re-review. From a presentation standpoint, Rolling Ronnie is definitely still a winner in my eyes. The graphics have a real clarity to them, making it so that you can always see what's going on, and the music is catchy without being annoying. What is a shame though is that every level looks so similar, as different locations would have made each one stand out. More could, and perhaps should, have been made of the fact that the main character is on roller skates. Apart from the odd little bit of uneven ground that you must avoid, the way that Ronnie interacts with the levels and the platforms is almost exactly the same as any other platform character that you can think of, and it's a real shame. The delivery boy aspect of the gameplay is also disappointing too. Every now and then you'll be given the option to pick up a parcel and deliver it to a few screens later on, and that's it. Something as simple as giving each one a time limit would have really enhanced the gameplay. The biggest issue that I have with the game though is the way that it withholds vital information from the player. You could reach the end of the first level only to be greeted with a game over message because you simply didn't collect enough diamond boxes or save enough money for the bus fare between levels. Considering that this is a game that has a pretty in-depth how to play screen on the main menu, you'd think that that bit of information would have been very important to tell the player. Ultimately, Rolling Ronnie is not a bad game in the slightest, but there are just too many annoying quirks and not enough variety to make it stand out. This is why it landed at the almost halfway point on the Retro Game Super League for mascot platformers that I published a couple of months ago. There should be a link to that full video on screen now. The original score that I gave it was definitely an overreaction on my part, and if I was scoring it today, I would probably give it no higher than 6 or 7 out of 10. Once again, we come to the end of an episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you're new to the series or the channel, I've bundled all previous episodes in this series into one handy little playlist, and there should be something on screen about now that will take you straight to it. All opinions expressed in this video are mine alone, and not those of the UK Gaming Network team. If you've played Rolling Ronnie, I'd love to hear your opinions of it in the comments. The next video, coming up in 2 weeks' time, will be the Members' Choice video for July, and the winner of the last vote was Another World from Delphine. If you want to have your say in the Members' Choice video for August, then please do check the video description below for details of our membership offer. You'll even get to watch these videos early. If you enjoyed this video, or one of our other series like Retro Game Super League's Best 10 or the Roundup podcast, make sure that you give us a like and subscribe so that you'd never miss out. Until next time, happy retro gaming. Bye for now.